Sorry about that. So anybody,
I'd like to say something.
please.
You know, if you give someone a gift and it's in a paper bag, they perceive that it's not really important and they didn't care about it. But when you give someone a gift that's all wrapped up in beautiful, sparkly paper with gold on it and with beautiful bows and whatnot, it gives a suggestion that you really care about that person, even though it's just like maybe $5 worth of paper.
Yeah.
And I think that frames are the same way with paintings. It gives
I love
the
that.
buyer the feeling that you really care about that painting. You want to set it in the best possible setting, to present it. So that's just-
Beautifully. I love that symbolism.
That's perfect.
Beautifully said.
Thank you.
We completely
Thank you.
agree. Yeah, when I was going to school, they were always presentation, presentation, presentation.
Yep.
And
Yep.
like galleries are like, don't ship your paintings to a gallery in a TV box. Make sure it's nice.
Yep.
Like even your box and your shipping and your materials.
And one of the biggest compliments that we receive is, especially for new artists, that we do a frame for them and they respond back, looks great. And then they respond back and like, I can't believe how fast that sold, because it just harmonizes. That's my whole, I don't want the experience in the gallery to be just like, wow, look at that frame. That's awesome. That's not the point.
Yeah.
We want to enhance your painting and just have that experience be just like, wow, that painting's speaking to me. And I don't know why. And then they look at the other paintings in the gallery and they just keep getting pulled back to yours. And it could be an 8x10. And then they're like, you know what, I gotta have it. And then they buy it. So that's the experience that I'm trying to create. And that's the magic that can happen with.
A good frame.
Yep. Okay, any other comments by anybody? I can't see a lot of chat and I can't see everybody, but does anybody want to have a shout out before we take a shop tour?
We really want to include you as much as possible.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go on the
All right.
tour.
So give me a minute to.
I'm going to go be the camerawoman.
Meeting is being recorded.
Just bear with me. Bear with me.
Okay, I'm going to go take the phone over here. Just a minute.
Sorry, that's obnoxious. Okay. All righty.
See if they can hear you. Unmute.
Okay. Julie, can you hear me? Just nod your head if you can.
Okay,
Perfect.
I hear you.
Okay, excellent. All right, let's do this. Okay, here we go. So here's one of our design rooms, and here's some art that we've got just going out. We do fancy big tabernacles like this. Not just for religious pieces, but other things. More design stuff. We're going to come back and talk about these color samples. These are our color samples. But all kinds of fun stuff here. Boring hallway. And then I'm going to let Heather take over here.
All righty.
So we're going to start at the very end in the build shop. And again, we're just going to zip through this quickly. As you can see, there's a lot of tables in here. The main reason why we've got so many tables is to make sure you can still get your frames in your hand within 3 weeks. And again, that's the reason why we've got so many people.
There's Trevor. We love him.
For build shop, one of the big questions that we always get is, what is a closed cornered frame? What's the big deal? So a lot of you watching this, you know exactly what it is, but for those that don't, just really quick, there's non-closed cornered frames are giant 10-foot sticks of molding that's pre-shaped, pre-stained or painted or even gold leafed that we import from overseas, and you chop it and you put together and you're done. Closed cornered is another scenario. You have to make it by scratch. We've got a handful of moldings over here and then over here, but about half of our frames are just made from just raw wood. You start from raw wood and go from there. These are all of our frames are put together with screws. There's actually another screw right here that's hidden to make sure that they don't break in transit, that they're going to last for years. There's a lot of challenges with humidity changes from West Coast to East Coast, and it stays there for a little while and then goes back to the West Coast. We've done frames internationally all the time with humidity, and that's to compensate for that. You also need to seal it on the back appropriately so it's as weatherproof as you can get it. This one was a request, hey, here's an image, can you duplicate it? And I only need it 3 inches wide, I need this kind of ornaments. So I say, yes, sure, why not? We've got a lot of ornamentation. We even get an in-house sculptor to where we can sculpt things out of clay. And then let me show you this.
And a carver.
And we do all kinds of wood carvings. This is our molds to where
We have a lot. It's
we have
just
a lot. Yes.
small sample.
But the concept is you create something, either you for example, we had one artist that said, hey, can you do my grandmother's brooch? And I want to put that in a frame. That was Tony Chapman. And so she sent us the brooch and we did a copy of it and then incorporated that into the panel of the frame.
Wow.
These, we had a one and then we just duplicate it and then we pour them in these rubber molds and now we can make replicas. You can go really over the top, and this whole thing, there's so much ornamentation here that we just started with the wood, put all the ornamentation on, and this whole thing is a mold. So there's all kinds of options.
So you can include motifs from your painting into your frame.
Yep.
So like, for example, one lady did loaves and fishes and there were fish on her frame. It was really beautiful.
I've done, some of you are familiar with, I don't have it right here, but Sgraffito. It's a design that it looks like it's drawn in
We
the
can
frame.
show you in the other room.
Mhm. But we actually scratch into it, and I've done these, and I've done Egyptian symbols. We've done all kinds of things.
Latin letters can be
Yeah.
molded.
There's not a lot of fancy tools in here. It's really about the handcraftiness of the trade, because that's what I really enjoy. Let me come back over here. Here's just more moldings. Here's the finish room. The tricky thing about gold is you can't mix it with sawdust at all. These are ironically all Brian Taylor's.
Yay, Brian.
These are just, these are antique, they just need a buff. All of them have standard 9-layer finish. The gold you want to break down to give it character.
This is a custom finish here.
This is a custom finish, only use 1 more layer for Sam Audekey. But
Like I said before, we know the frames and where they're going and which artist and which piece they belong to. It
Yeah.
really is so personal and so custom
Yeah.
to you.
so this is more the true color, but we can really color match. if requested, we could even give you an image before we ship it out.
I have to show you this really cool wood. This is a custom to that beautiful.
Yeah, this one's a Joseph Todorovich. Gets the liner inside, and he just wants it really shiny, really clean. So this won't even get any dust on it at all.
So we'll talk about antiques. Sometimes when we do the wood, like it gets antiqued quite heavily, but that's not what he wanted this time.
Then in here is the shipping around where everything goes out. The only thing I want to show you in here is that regardless of how you ship, you want to be really careful, whether it's me or anybody else. We use a double wall cardboard. Many times we get art that's really unprotected. That's kind of scary. So even if you had some double wall or regular cardboard twice as thick, just you got your painting, your canvas, it's dry, a piece of paper, and then your cardboard, and then kind of cinch wrap that together and then put that in a box. It really helps.
Layers matter.
We've got custom foam to where when you see it arrive, your frames will be in,
A nice molded foam.
recessed in there, just to avoid as many damages as we can. These are new finishes I'm playing with. Just really kind of clean white with a little antique. This is a brand new profile called the Pisa. And I was just kind of playing around with different grays and blues. It's not quite where I want it yet, but it's just fun to experiment.
Please tell us what you want. We're happy to help or match. Because trends change all the time. We're finding,
Yeah.
we try to match not only your piece, but also design trends.
So now these, I don't want to bore you too much. These are colors. Gold comes in all kinds of different colors, and it's the carat numbers. So even though that looks silver, this is actually genuine silver. That's something brand new that we're offering to where there's no carat in it. It's very cold. It's genuine silver. This is the lowest the gold goes. That's a 12 karat, but you can see how much color jump there is. This is a 14 karat, very subtle. And then 16 karat, it's also called a lemon gold.
Has a little bit of green.
And a lot of green. 18 karat, and then your traditional 22 karat.
Which is very warm, yellow, buttery.
And this is what you see on most.
So
frames.
think value scale as an artist. Like you can get any range of gold, and we do try and match the carat to your piece specifically.
And
There's
then
copper.
Yep, copper doesn't come in gold leaf, it's just copper. So that's a copper leaf. This is a custom one we did just for color tone. Just they wanted a honey. So we can really play around with different colors, stained or whatnot. Okay, so I'm gonna just check my chat box or anything. Any other questions? We're kind of a pausing point here. Any questions on the shop or anything like that?
You were going to talk about the anatomy of a frame.
That's where I'm going next.
Okay.
Okay, I'm not hearing any shout outs. So let's go ahead and I'm going to shift back to this.
I work in pastels. How do you handle that?
Oh, very good question. Very good question. Pastels are tricky. Go ahead and if you'll just leave on that one, and I'll just film from here. Let me change the mic.
Okay.
Okay. Can you guys hear me okay? Give me a thumbs up or not. Okay. So how do you handle pastels? Well, you got to cover them. So we recommend not using us for glass just so we don't have to transport it. But we can get glass. I've got museum non-reflection glass. about cost. I'll charge you for the glass, and then, you know, it takes me 15 minutes to cut the glass and put it in. But there's generally enough space. This is called the lip, and this is the depth of the rabbet. So generally there's enough depth in the rabbet to compensate for your glass. And then we've got a 1/4 inch spacer. And then we've got the artwork and then a backing. So we actually have a physical space about an 1/8 inch, 1/4 inch, depending what you want, between your artwork and the glass so they don't touch. Same with charcoals or even some watercolors, depending on what you want. Any other questions? I've got my chat box open so I can see. Okay, just want to make sure I'm giving everybody a chance to talk. Now that anatomy of a frame, what is what? I'm gonna grab, this one's a bit fancy, but it's all the same. So we've got an inside trim, we've got the panel, outside trim, liner, and heel. And again, this one's a little more ornate. So the heel is really kind of complex, but if you guys can see, there's an additional piece of wood right here that we put on. That's the heel. So it does not have to have a heel. One of my pet peeves is you spend all this money in this gorgeous frame, it looks great, you put it on the wall, and then you see this gap and you see your hardware between the frame and the wall. That bugs me like no other. So all of our frames have a heel that's going to go all the way to the wall, so your frame's going to be tight against the wall. Thank you, Heather. This is a simpler version of a heel right here. So it's a separate piece of wood that we put on. We usually make the personal call if it needs a heel or not. Anything, 16, 20 and above, I'd probably put a heel on. Anything less, maybe not. But if you put an arch in it and your canvas is 1 1/4 inches thick, well, guess what? You're going to need more wood to make up that space. We're doing one right now where the canvas is 2 1/8 thick. So we can do whatever you want or need. And then I got another question. Is the liner heel glued together? Very good question. I sure hope it's glued together. So it's actually glued and nailed and even sometimes screwed together, just the liner. At times, the black one that you just saw in the shop for Joseph, the liner was separate. So we did that just for finishing purposes. We're gonna pop it in, do one more layer of antique, and we're done.
And then it gets fixed together.
Yeah, but those are mounted with nails and then screwed on the miters or the joints. This one, because the gold covers this is glued and nailed all the way around before it even gets to the build shop, which is most of the case. Great question there.
So Julie was talking about having different color of heels. So like this is a carrot frame and it has a black heel, but you could make it any color that you want to match. Because this is the bridge between the home and the artwork. So if you're saying olive or cream or can.
Those are great
olive
ideas.
was a bad idea. Olive was a bad word, but yeah.
Julie, you're on mute. Were you trying to say something?
Yeah.
I think.
Can you hear me?
Oh, no, wait a minute. Now I can hear you.
Yeah, no, I was just, olive was just like a random, I shouldn't have said that, but like, an earth tone, like, it's just a nice, I think thing to be able to, come in someone's home or in your own and you see the frame from the side and it's interesting from the side,
Yep.
as well as the front. And, black is great, but like sometimes not crazy interesting, just different, sometimes it adds something and just a neutral, especially if it's a landscape,
Sometimes we've had some frames that have been like their Italian clay or this beautiful burgundy, if it matches, then it makes it just sing.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful.
And
And
the
that
more-
repetition.
The more unique you can go, the more it's going to call attention on the gallery wall.
For sure, yeah. I mean,
Art.
Yep.
you just
Um,
tried a little harder than you did.
no, you're great. You're great. Okay, any other questions before I was on? You could hear me, but I couldn't hear you a second ago, so I apologize. I'm not a techie. Any other questions before we move? Robin?
Yeah, so I noticed on some of the frames, I can't even see a seam at all on the corners. And I'm wondering, maybe this is the wrong question for you guys, but I'm just wondering, how does the gallery, are they really like super judgmental of like how those seams are, or how good do they need to be?
Super good question. Super good question. So that goes back to the main reason why it bugs galleries is quality. So if you cannot see the seam, that means it's a closed cornered handmade frame. If you can see the seam, that means it's a chop and join. It's a substantially less expensive frame. The ones you buy on bulk online, Michael's Arts and Craft. Not to name, sorry. That's just all I know of, just nationally. And those are chop and join. Still really pretty, but you cannot make that seam disappear because it's one stick that they chop and staple together and they're done.
That's what we work really hard to do, is to make that seam disappear, to like put something beautiful there, to make it just gorgeous.
Yeah, anytime you do a corner ornament or corner carve that says I'm handmade, because you can't just do that without. So long story, Robin, to answer your question, it depends on the gallery. Some galleries really want nice frames and some galleries are like, we'll take you however you are. So I can't really answer that question, but the higher end galleries, yeah, it makes a difference.
I've had some galleries, they know their clientele. I've had some galleries that are like, we sell really well with just a little wood float, and that's what we'd like you to sell it in and make it as unified as possible. And so like having a show, if you're doing a show, having a unified look of like the same type of frame, same color, gives a beautiful presentation.
And it doesn't have to be the same frame. It can just be the same color family. It can be the same style of frames. A lot of artists will use, Brent Cotton, Kathleen Dunphy, others will use, have used in the past. Hey, I got a show. I need 6 frames. 4 of them I want the same, and then these 2 are my gems.
They're
And I want
points,
to,
right?
and I want to, do something more special with these. But in the end, this is one of the points that I'll actually jump to right now. In the end, you're the artist. Our opinion is the gallery has their input. You definitely need help please the gallery, but in the end, you're the artist. You're the one that knows what you're trying to communicate. And if you're putting an ugly frame on, and even one you're spending a lot of money on that you still don't like, you should have that power to say, you know what, this is what you want. This is what I want. How about this one in the middle? And that's how we can help. We can help give you those options to show the gallery.
Yeah, so communicate with your gallery so that, because galleries, I've had some, they're like, we'll take frames from these 3 framers. They've gotten that specific.
Oh.
So, and like I said, some others are like, just.
I'm a traditionalist at heart. I love the ornate frames, but we're in a world where the galleries want contemporary. And just, can you do a 1/4-inch piece of metal all the way around? And no, I can't actually. So I've actually developed a whole line of narrower frames with a contemporary feel. They're kind of hybrids, if you will, that really please both worlds. And we're always designing. I would love
about that float that you've done for me is the Eden, I think. It's
Yeah.
a little bit traditional, but it's very narrow and it looks contemporary because it's a float and
Yeah.
it's narrow, but it's definitely not full contemporary. It's got that traditional.
Yep.
feel.
Yep. It actually, technically, it has a Roman ogee on it, and that's goes back to the Romans. So it's
I
very
didn't know that.
traditional in the shape, but yeah, I try to, I'll show it to you right now. This is a wider Eden, but that's
We
kind
can
of,
make it really narrow.
you can see the shape. Anyway, so very good. So let's keep moving. I want to show you some tips and tricks now. So some kind of rules to framing well, in my opinion. The first thing you want to think when I'm picking a frame, and again, I've got all these rules and I'll give it to you at the very end. And you can screenshot it, or I can email you my document or whatever you want. And if we have time, I've got some artwork here in the shop that I want to practice framing with you. And if any of you have an image of, hey, I'm working on this painting, you can just email me an image right now. And if we have time, we can help design that out.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
So rule one is composition. With whatever painting it is, are you wanting to go more busy or less busy? The point of a frame is to dress up whatever it's framing. But how far do you want to dress it up? Landscapes, there's a reason why there's so many black frames with gold in. They work really well with landscapes and plein air. A couple years ago, they were all over the place, and it's like 90% black frame gold in. Now it's shifted to almost half and half, full golds, gold in and out with the black panel versus just all black and a little gold. So there's a shift happening, but you got to think, okay, I need a little fancier, but do I want it a lot fancier or not so much? Figurative kind of suggests and demands, okay, yeah, let's go fancy, because it's a figure. There's all these rounded curves and of the face and the shoulders and the arms that you just want to bring that elegance out. Still lifes, I do a lot of full golds with ornamentation in the still lifes because it's just a quiet, beautiful piece that just wants to be even more elegant than what it is. So those are things to think about. So like a rule, I'm trying to enhance my art, not distract from it. So that's a rule you always got to think in your head. And that's a balance. Kari Christensen is a fantasy painter that we frame for, and it's dragons and it's really cool stuff. He can pull off anything because of the subject matter. Where is it? I want to show you that. Do you see the, yeah. I want to show you the frame we put on. So he had it was a sea monster. It was a 30 by 40, and we put this sucker on it. And it looked great because of the subject matter. Billy's eyes are like, what? But yeah, we put this sucker on it, and the subject matter, sometimes you can pull off a lot of things you don't think you can.
Right. So I want to just do like a little, this bump out is called Palladian. So that's something you can ask for if you like this kind of bump out. Say, I like a Palladian corner.
And I've got that on the Luisa's. I've got a whole line that I haven't even produced yet of flat panels with a Palladian. So.
And it can be subtle. It can be just like a super subtle bump out, or as much as you want. There's a bend towards digital and contemporary art happening. What kind of frames have you helped to write for digital art? Excellent question.
Excellent question. The simple answer, go to my website, Masterworks Frames, and then just shop by size of profile. You can grab like 2 inches or less, and we can make them less busy if you want. But the advice I would give, because I totally feel the movement I have for years.
Beautiful. It's beautiful.
And I've done simple, just contemporary, just a white flat piece of wood. We're going to talk about color breakdown later. Actually, we're running out of time, so we're going to talk about it soon. But very contemporary, I would not break down the gold very much. I'd have it more of a solid color. But again, it doesn't have to be gold. We could do I've done straight black, I've done metal leaf. But there's that luster that you just can't replicate.
And two, like, it depends, like for digital art, it depends on how you would put it out. We just
Mhm.
had some like mounted on board. Or if you have it like mounted on canvas, you'll want a heel on it. So it just depends on your subject matter. If it's traditional, you can do anything on digital that you can, traditionally.
Yep,
So,
I treat
same rules.
prints the same as I treat originals.
mhm.
Okay, so, sorry,
Oh,
another.
it was a good question about the size of the painting and the width of the frame. That's super important.
Yep, okay, so really quick, let's see, just rule of thumb, you go by feel, but the width of the frame, again, depends on subject matter, but all right, here's a good one. Sorry for the cinch wrap that's going out, but this is a little 4x6, but the frame's 3.5 inches wide, because they want more of a presence on the wall to give it more girth, more presence. But rule of thumb, smaller pieces of art, generally I would, under 16 by 20, I would generally be about 3 inch. If you want to push more contemporary, I'll go down to 2, down to 3/4. Over 1620, I go about 4 inch. Over 30-40, I would push 4.5 to 5 inches, just as a general rule.
But rules can be broken because sometimes
Definitely.
big paintings have little thin frames, and like you just saw, like, little frames can have like big.
Yeah. I've done 6-inch wide large scoops on an 8x10, and it knocked it out of the park.
And it looks amazing.
Yeah. Okay, very good. So I just got another one. Yeah, it looks like Julie emailed me an image. So let me run through my points and my rules, and then we're going to go visit hers. Rule number 2, destination. Another thing to consider when you're framing, whether it be us or someone else, is where's this painting hanging? I would put one type of frame for Patrick Kramer that's going to Arcadia Gallery, and I would put a very different frame on something going to Prida West. So those are two extremes, but you want to think, where's this going? Is it a solo show that's in town, and I kind of know the neighborhood of the buyers, so I kind of know how much they're willing to spend? Or is it commission? If it's a commission and the customer really wants some input, send them to us. We'll help them find the right frame for your art, to where we can match the couch and we can match the wood trim, or whatever. Let's see.
Just for a second, while it's pausing, someone asked about Sgraffito, or we talked about Sgraffito before, is where we paint onto a gold panel and then you can scratch into the golds, or like, into the paint while it's still wet, and it becomes like this beautiful shiny element.
Yep. And we can do any design.
Natural.
And it's got gold underneath. So that's kind of how that works. So another rule, we already talked about this one. You are the artist and you know what's best. You know what you're trying to communicate with your painting. Now color. Color is really important. Color of the painting matching color of the frame. So we could talk another half an hour about this, but we only got 10 more minutes. Let me expand the chat so I can see more chats. Let's see, bear with me, sorry. Let me run through these and then I'll hit those chats. Color. Generally, you focus on your focal point of the painting and go a shade more gold, go a shade more yellow than whatever that focal point is. For example, Brent Cotton, a lot of darks, and then he's got this glowing campfire at night. So that generally always warrants a 22 karat color. And there's so much dark in the frame that it kind of warrants a dark frame. So you're echoing what's already there. Kathleen Dunphy, on the other hand, she's got a lot of ocean paintings, love the rocks and the oceans and the atmosphere. And she generally goes with like a 14 karat full because she kind of wants a softer look. It just kind of blends with most of the color palette in the painting is duplicated in the finish. Yellows and greens, if you got a landscape with a lot of yellows and a lot of greens as your dominant color, 16 karat is a really kind of a gem. We don't use it very often because it can throw off a painting as well. But if you got a lot of greens, like light green, a lot of bright yellows, 16 karat's a good choice. If you want a yellow gold, but you don't want their traditional really yellow, but you still want it that direction, I would go an 18 karat to where it's just a step down from your yellow gold. Black and white drawings, I would go straight silver. We've had so many requests over the past couple months that I'm now offering, I don't even know if it's on my website yet, of just genuine straight silver, no yellow at all, no karat. Those work great for black and whites, charcoal drawings, stuff like that. The trends a couple years ago used to be 2/3 black with gold and 1/3 full gold. It's now about half and half. It used to be about 2/3 yellow gold, 1/3 more silver tones. Silver tones are really dominating. It's about half and half, if not more silver than gold. Just so you kind of know what's happening nationally. We're doing more and more white panels, white colors. Thank you, Heather. Stained panels to where we can do wood tones with gold. We did a really pretty one for Kathleen Hudson a couple months ago of landscape, and just had this bright wood, not bright, it was bright gold on the inside and outside. Let me just show you one. With like a stained panel in it. This is a bad example, but this is the brown, and you probably can't even see it very good on the screen. But that's kind of the brown wood tone. But look at the website for better samples. This is more of a white one.
Sorry.
So this, if you can see, is, I don't know if you can see on your screen, but this has got a white, antique white with some brown asphaltum.
Can't hear him.
So that's framed is for this beautiful painting
Yep.
right here.
So why don't you just put that in? This is a local artist, Stacy Minch. But that's just a really sweet way to show that figure.
Is that beautiful?
And we're just matching her dress. So really, really enhance. Let's see, I only got a couple minutes left. So just to wrap up, gold breakdown. What is that? So gold breakdown is how much the gold is broken down. Is it like a solid yellow, or is it more translucent? This is a little bit more translucent. We call it a soft gold. Most Westerns are, you want that rich aged look with a lot of reds. You got some ley lines, but you just want that richness and that old feel. Yep. But you've got all kinds of contemporary. It's very little breakdown. It's more of a solid gold color, regardless of 12 karat, 14 karat, 16, 18, 22. It's not much breakdown. It's just more of a solid feel. There's an example of an arch. We can put an arch on anything you want.
This is an arched liner, and you can see the breakdown on here. There's
Yeah.
ley lines here, but then you can see like some breakdown, like where the clay is coming through. It can be black clay or red clay or yellow clay. whatever color or blue clay, but you know, whatever will match your painting, and it enhances it, those colors, those subtle shifts.
Yep, yep.
Really enhance your work.
So another rule, soft gold to bring out reds and the richness of your painting. Clean gold to be more contemporary. See, another rule. If you want your painting to kind of pop, then do a painted heel or a natural toned heel or whatever, because it separates the frame from the wall a little bit better. And then my final point is distress and antique. Antique is color. Distress is where we're banging up the wood and dinging it up. So that's a distress. Everything gets antique. Only a handful of frames get distress. So that's the difference. But it just pulls more. I had Amy Erickson, she was like, just drag it through the dirt for a little while before you ship it off, just because I want more character to it. Because it's going to get banged up on my car anyway, so I might as well bang it up and make it intentional. So it's really a personal call. And then my final rule is I can easily enhance the feel of my painting with the correct antique and distress. Ocean scenes, I'll always put a little bit more dust, so you kind of feel the waves of the ocean. I've done blue patinas, I've done pink, I've done purple. It's really, you know, if you've got a figure and they're wearing a pink shawl, you can pop the pink. It's whatever your focal point is, we can enhance. So that's the main rule. So I've only got a couple minutes left on some quick questions, and then I'm going to show you my rule sheet. I frame pastels mats or any rule of thumb of the width of the frame of the mat. I wish I could help you there. I don't do mats. I just announced some drawing frames for drawings that kind of require mat. Generally, I would go to 3 to 4 inches on a mat if you've got a skinny frame. I kind of compensate that with wider frames. So this is very contemporary, and this behaves like your mat. Hopefully that helps a little bit.
Yes, we do have a good art collection because I love art.
Yes, we're kind of a sucker. So
Yeah,
my next one is going to be Brent Cotton. I'm going to own a Brent Cotton one day.
yeah, we are collectors. It's
Yeah,
true.
we love it. And we trade for art. Let's see. Could you show on how the back of the frame should be finished? This is raw, so that's what it looks like with the screws and everything. We just paint, we seal, and then just paint our frames black. So that's all that we do.
You can put paper on the back once you've framed it and added, you know, a lot of people frame finish with paper.
So let me finish up with, I'm going to share my screen here.
You can screenshot this.
So these, sorry, and I can't fit everything on my page. So these are my rules of framing in fine art frames. So I've vocalized all of them. So you can screenshot it if you want, but I'm just going to leave my personal cell. You can text me your email or whatever, or just shoot me an email and I will send you these rules of framing so you can reference later. But just in closing, what can Masterworks offer you? Just to kind of summarize again, we really try to get you your frames in 3 weeks, wherever that needs to be.
The gallery or to your home.
Genuine gold for wholesale pricing. We just started something 2 weeks ago to where you'll get an automated email when we're actually touching your frame. So you place an order, it usually takes about a week or so before we get caught up and start building your frame, but you'll know when we actually start building it and when we finish it, and then email shipping when that happens. You don't have to pay for the frame until you receive it. If you want to make sure it gets here safe and sound and it's the right finish, and then I'll pay you, we're totally cool with that. And then I do a year warranty on everything just because we back up what we create. But in closing, we're just generally trying to help you succeed. So I'm going to close, but I'm also going to stay on for those interested, because I'm going to grab Julie's email with her artwork and show you her artwork. And then I'm going to play around with, hey, what frame should we put on it? So for those that need to leave, thank you for being here with us.
It's an honor to have had you with us. Thank you.
And for those that want to stay, please stay.
I'm staying.
All right. Let me try to figure this out. I think I can just download it. Let's see.
So while he's doing that,
There it is.
oh my goodness, Julie, that's gorgeous.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so hopefully you guys can see. Oh, I zoom this out. Maybe I'll just do this. Okay, I'm just gonna do it this way. So there's her painting. Anybody want to chime in? What would you put on this? Or you just
Silver,
want to probably
gold?
just see me? Yeah, let's start with
Gold tones.
color. What carrot color would you put on this? Regardless of profile.
You unmute or just whatever.
Because we could put a 22 karat on. Let's see how creative we can get here. No, that's not gonna work.
Show them the front of the frame. Just show them front like this.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, I gotta stop screen sharing. So I'm gonna go back and forth real quick. So you got the painting in your head. I would do kind of more of a 22.
So someone said they can see the painting. It is a
I
beautiful.
don't think we can.
landscape.
I can't see it. I can see our names.
Let's see. It's a
Let's try this
beautiful
again.
landscape with pine trees, mountains, and a lake.
Can you see it now?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
And then can you see us in like the corner?
No.
Yeah.
Oh, you can?
Or I
Oh,
can.
good, super. So here's one direction,
Ooh, that's pretty. That warm wood
a
with
22 karat gold. This is just stressing from the shop, so that's not supposed to be there. But this is more of a wood tone. It's a pretty simple composition, so I wouldn't go too complicated on the frame.
Mhm.
What size is this, Julie?
That's 14 by 11.
Okay,
Nice.
good. So that's a good size. So
Very small. I mean, yeah.
it's not that large. A 4-inch, because it's a landscape, can still totally work.
Cool.
So this is one direction to go to where you got your wood tones, you got wood trees. It's not only matching color, but theme,
Right.
because it feels like you're outside.
True.
Yeah, the darks will pull out the pine trees, the gold will pull out that nice strip of warm green.
Coming through. I know.
So pretty.
And that's kind of the painting itself is, I forget what I named it, but the light coming through the morning light coming through was sort of the point of it. So
Yeah.
I might
Yeah.
want to accentuate that.
This one's another one to where this is our Delaware. It's a little bit whiter. It's got some red undertones that don't need to be there. But it's got a little bit more carving or ornament, a little bit more gold.
How do you, Michael, how do you specify, like you said, that those red undertones don't need to be there? What's the language I would use? I mean, besides they don't need to be there, but just what level of whatever you call it would I want to specify with that?
If you don't specify any, great question. If you don't specify anything, you can trust me to make it look good. But you're gonna have a little bit of red
Sure, and you want a
with
little,
blacks.
yeah.
But I will either suggest that, hey, Julie, I think we should pull some more reds out because you've got a ton of red in your canvas.
Okay,
Or I'll just show you a sample and say, hey, I would duplicate this with the reds.
okay,
When I talk about reds is because our frames are coated with clay. And so generally it's like I said, it can be black clay or red clay, yellow clay, or a custom color, but usually it's this like Italian red.
Mhm.
that's
And we're just
coated, the
breaking through
undertones.
the black more if we want it. This might be another option, just a little more simple. Again, 22 in here with kind of more of a brown panel. That's the profile look. This one's a little bit more narrow. That's why I'd recommend it.
That's called our Lincoln.
Yeah, it's our Lincoln. Now if we want to
So searching for a frame. I was just going to show this. This is kind of what goes into our frames. You get this clay, and then you get like the painting, distressing, seal coat, antique, final buff. There's probably people touch this and buff it and like hand rub it over 80 times. So there's a lot of like real love there.
Yeah, that's why we don't crank them out faster, because we just spend so much time on them. This might, another option, this is our Lexington. It's got a little carve, but you see what this might do to the artwork color. So it doesn't have to be 22. The 22 is going to pull the trees.
right.
This is going to pull the background.
Your sky, your rocks, your lake, we're
Yeah.
gonna start popping with this.
Yeah,
Like,
so it really depends on what you're trying to communicate. But there's the side of that one. So it's got that elegant little scoop to it. And then just to kind of throw all options out there, this is what I would do for a full gold. So it's got some patina on it, got some antique. This is our Pisa, it's brand new. I just barely put it on the shelf on the ready-mades. It's 2.5 inches wide, but it's got this little stair step and a little curvature right there. Doesn't have to be full gold, but if you wanted to go full gold on this, that's what I would
so
do.
it's plain patina,
I like
Patina
that.
is your antique on top. It's your
like a
finish.
nice
It's
color variation.
like your top coat. Anytime, now I'm not trying to persuade you, but anytime you do more gold, like a full gold, it's going to be more money with me because it's got so much more gold on it, but that always warrants a price increase on your artwork. Anytime you put gold, genuine gold on your art, you can ask for more money. But if you go full gold, you can ask for even more money. Not that that's the point, but I would definitely buffer the costs. Ideally,
Everyone has to cover their
Yeah,
costs of
and
materials.
ideally, okay, I'm gonna sell this painting unframed. Let's just talk numbers. Unframed, I want 1,200 out of it. But if Michael frames it, I gotta give him 300. So now we're up to 15. But I'm gonna ask for 18 or maybe even 19 because it's got genuine gold on it. So the concept is to where you can pay for the frame and then still get another slice.
And
out
if
of
you
it.
have the opportunity to do like an artist meet and greet, that's what I do. I'm like, hey, look at this. Let me tell you a little about what's gone into this. And you can tell what you learned here about ley lines and patina. And this is like, yeah, how beautiful this is. It's soft and warm gold.
She's a good salesman.
Well, thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna take the screen off. Let's see, any other questions? I see another text. I'd look for distressed blue or olive. Something that pulls the green. That's a great idea. Pull the greens forward, pull the trees, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, again, that's focal points. And what I'm trying to do as a framer is look at where your focal point is and then enhance whatever that's trying to say.
Yeah.
And then again, for those that want to hang out, I'm going to keep going for another couple minutes, but if you need to go, I totally get it. I've got 2 more paintings here that we're going to experiment with. Let's do the easy one first.
The big
So,
one.
yeah. So,
This is a Russian impressionist,
um,
living master.
love landscapes. That's where my heart is. So this one's an easier one to do. Let's see, I'm just gonna shift my, we hold the painting.
Yep.
So I'm just gonna shift this. So with this, it's, I wouldn't go, well, this one you can really pull off a couple different things. But let's have some fun. So this, it just doesn't feel, it's not heavy enough. This would fit color-wise. Just go back a little bit.
That's that focal point tree, right?
Yeah, so this is a brown tone to pull kind of the browns, the yellows go with the gold. Then get black. I'm trying to show you what to do and what not to do. That probably not. You could, but I don't know if I'd pull the white. Feel. This is our Santa Fe. So it's about a 4-inch. It's a good weight for this. I'm just going to carve right here. Now feel how this feels. And then feel how that feels. Completely different thing.
Oh, that was the right behind you.
So this is very ornate. Maybe the real answer is
So John McNeil III designed some frames.
Thanks for being patient, everybody. I do this frame for designers a lot, to where it's not a busy frame, it's not a busy composition, it's not distracting from this, but you got a full gold. And now you can really ask for a lot more for this painting because you got this much gold on it. Now, granted, you got to keep in mind who's my clientele, but full golds are coming back.
They're beautiful. Nothing better.
Yeah. So this is actually the frame the designer picked for this one. Because she knows her clientele. It's like all golds because they're just, $1 million homes. Okay, so now a harder one. We'll finish up with this. This is a commission painting that Jeff Legg did. And it's really going to be tricky because
Where you
so maybe this won't be too good of an experience, but okay. This one's actually a challenge. Reds are tricky. Generally, if you're going red, if you're going a really dark background, that automatically warrants 22 karat. Whether it's just inside or a full. So let me show you why. So there's a 22, but for me it's too much gold. So this is a silver, and it just, for me, it just clashes. It's just the reds and the cools are just fighting each other. So we're a happy medium. Let me find one. I don't want it too wide either. For some reason, I just don't want to go too much on this. So where I would do just a 22 gold in with a black, because there's so much black here.
That's really pretty.
But where the customer is actually leaning is if you really want to make this one special, is our Hudson. So this, it's not too wide. We're not distracting too much from the art. It's got some ornamentation. We're actually kind of, we may do something with it. I've got a little rosette. No, it's not a rosette, it's a rose flower ornament
Oh, wow.
that we'll put right here instead. And so instead of this kind of Art Deco, we'll put like a rose right there. But it's a softer gold. It's 22, so we're going to pull a lot of these reds, more reds than normal through the gold to harmonize with all the reds in the paint. So that's kind of where we're landing on that one. Some of them, I'm not perfect. You know, some of them I'm just going to be stumped. So I'm just going to give you options and then let you make the final call. Okay, lag, one more chat text. Some point, can we see the back of one of the curved enhanced frames at some point, just for a second? Great idea. So this is an arch. It's probably gonna be more like, yeah, more like that. The back of it, it holds a rectangle canvas just like everybody else. We put spacers in here if needs be, but these hold regular rectangle canvases. So you just plan on it just like normal canvas, and it'll cover 1/4 inch of your artwork on the sides, bottom, and the apex of the curve. Yep. So it'll cover like that. And it's just to really soften edges to give it some uniqueness. But if you, as you noticed, it didn't sacrifice too much of your canvas space. And I do that intentionally. I've done half rounds and we can totally do that, but I don't like taking away too much art space.
And you can specify how, like, if you want like a full half circle, like he's
Mhm.
half round, or like, you know, how soft the arch is.
And we call that a subtle arch. So a subtle arch is where it's just slightly bent, which is our standard. So any other questions, any other chats? This has been great. We've got a lot longer than I thought.
So we probably should let
Yeah.
them have more airspace.
Yeah.
But thank you so much.
Thanks for joining us and hope to see you at some point.
Yeah.
Have a great conference.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you all
Julie.
very
Thanks a
much.
lot.
Really
Okay.
enjoyed it.
Get some sleep.